If you'd like to write to me with a question or to let me know how it's going, john@furtheremergence.com. Love to hear from you. And as I said, these the podcast is on YouTube as well, so if you want to have a look at that as well. So I had a question. It says, I'd love to know more about your manifestation plans. You already said something, and it seems to be about collective well-being, question mark. I'd like to know more details. So, okay, let me answer that in this way. Okay, well, I thought we'd take this answer on the road, so to speak. So I'm up at the top of the valley. It's pretty misty up here, but it only occurred to me recently that being up here in the mist, it's not a good idea for hill walking. But I talk about going into the mystery a lot, and this is like going into the mystery, sort of. So I don't really feel qualified to talk about manifestation, but I'm happy to answer the question. Meaning, well, you'll see what I mean in a minute. So, why am I interested in manifestation? Well, as I've said before, the external world doesn't really reflect my internal world. On the inside, I'm lovely and sweet and beautiful and loving and everything's gorgeous. Outside doesn't really reflect that. So I would like to change that. I would like to bring an end to suffering, unnecessary suffering. I mean, there's a difference between pain and suffering, but yeah, end to suffering and all the things that everybody wants, like, end of global climate crisis, end of hunger, world hunger, end of poverty. I mean, we don't need poverty. So those are big things. But it seems to me that if I master manifestation, then I should be able to do that as well, or at least help with it. Just got to change sides with my pole so I don't roll down the mountain. So it starts with me being able to make changes in my own life and my own circumstances. And it seems like from my study, and as I say, I've been kind of studying it pretty intensively for the last 14 months, that the main things that people want to, or the main information out there is to do with money and love, meaning finding, your ideal person to be with. So the sorts of people that I've been listening to and learning from are Neville Goddard, who is not with us anymore. He's kind of from the 50s and 60s. There are others, but he just resonated with me. Then Elmer O'Loughlin is another one. I watch his stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of Neville Goddard stuff on YouTube as well. There's a woman called, I think it's Neville Goddess. I like her as well. And then just recently I have come across the manifestation babe, Catherine Kentink. I can't remember her surname. It'll come back to me. And I've had lots of different success, but it hasn't, I don't feel like I've mastered it. But what I have learned is that I know a lot of the principles of manifestation anyway, without really knowing it. You probably do too. But I know it particularly in my work with people over the years and with craniocycle work. And particularly I know about the thing of letting something go, because that's one of the things that most people who are manifestation experts will tell you, that you have to sort of set your intention and then you have to let it go. Now, I know that from working with people, because if somebody comes to me in pain, I will, of course, want to help them. But and I've seen this with training people, it doesn't help them if I worry about it during the week. So let's say I see somebody on Monday and I'm going to see them again next Monday, and their pain level is at a 10 when I see them, and they go out the door. If I spend the time worrying, kind of, oh, I hope they're not in pain now for the week, and every day thinking about that, every time I think about the person, if I'm going, oh, I hope it's going to be all right, I have found that gets in the way. And I know that from my experience from doing it, and then from not doing it, meaning from worrying, and the person comes back and they were like, yeah, it was good for, pain dropped for a couple of hours and then it came back again. And then the week where I don't think about them, consciously don't think about them, they'll come back in and they'll, I won't think about them for the week, and they'll come back in and say, oh yeah, pain dropped to a 5, been at a 5 all week. And then we'll do some more work and so on. So I know that in my experience, and here's a little wild thing this week. As I say, I've been working with people for 30 years. So, I stopped coming across new things, meaning, different things that would happen with people. I'd pretty much experienced most of them, all miraculous, all wonderful. But, nothing new. But this was new. So I'm working with this person in Australia. Now, just bear that in mind. I'm in Ireland, they're in Australia, okay? And I've been working with them for a while. And so 2 weeks ago, they said, one of my eyes is drier than the other eye. Now, this is not the main thing we are working on. But he just happened to mention this. And I said, okay, tell me more about it. And he began to tell me more about it. And as he did, he started to tell me about a time that he'd been beaten up and he had received some blows to his head. And they were in the kind of area where his lacrimal gland would be. So your lacrimal gland is the gland that secretes tears. And it's sort of in your forehead, on the outside of your forehead, meaning not towards the middle of your face, towards the outside of your face. So I began to work on his system. We turn the cameras off and I go behind the scenes, or I go into the mystery, like I am now in the mystery. Now I go into the mystery inside and I meet him there. And in the mystery, he's not in Australia, he's right beside me. And we work away, and I helped the trauma from being beaten up to release, just like I would if he was right beside me, because in the mystery he is right beside me. And that was great. Next week, he came back on the Zoom call again. How are you? Great. How's your eye? And he said, well, funny thing, the next day I was... my wife said to me, what's wrong with your eye? And he said, what do you mean? She said, you've got a black eye. And he went and looked in the mirror, and sure enough, he had a black eye in the area where he had been struck. And it lasted for about 2 days, a bit like you would with a normal black eye. So that I haven't seen that happen before. That was pretty amazing, and really a really strong demonstration of what I'm talking about in terms of not thinking about it, because I didn't spend the week going, oh, I hope his eye is not as dry as it was, or I hope something wonderful happens or anything like that. No, I just did what I always do. I gave him my full undivided attention when I was working, and then I let it go. So I know this stuff in some ways, but not in other ways. There's a name for that in the manifestation thing. I think it's called segmented manifestation, meaning you can be good at manifestation in one area and not in another. I want to be good in all for that reason, because then I can get on to the bigger things. So as I've said before, this is an illusion. It's pretty believable, though, isn't it? Look what I'm doing at the moment. Look at the illusion I'm in. It's misty, it's green, it's there's moisture, there's, I can hear things underfoot. It's very believable. But as I say, it's all happening inside me. It's all coming inside me. I don't experience anything outside me. So it seems to me that and it is a little bit like a virtual reality kind of simulation. That's a way of thinking about it. Delicate little bit of maneuvering here. Yeah. So thinking of it in that way, if you think of it like a a virtual reality game, you can generally mess around with your own character, your avatar, whatever you want to call it. You can change it. You can make it tall or short. You can do all sorts of things relatively easily. I know in some games you've got to pay for more sophisticated things, but let's not complicate the metaphor. So it seems like it's relatively easy to change your own avatar, let's say. So like, change your body, possibly change your wealth. It seems like that's reasonably possible. But it's much harder to change the rules of the world that you're in. Like, so you can make your avatar taller, shorter, that kind of thing. But it's more difficult. I think you would have to get into serious coding to be able for your avatar to fly if flying wasn't part of the rules of the world that you were in, or to change buildings if that wasn't part of your character's abilities. I'm just talking about normal kind of games, So I think to do that, to change the bigger things, I think you need more people. Now, this is all, I could be wrong about all of this, but this is my sense at the moment. So that's why I'm kind of focusing on me at the moment. And then when I figure out how to change my own avatar, which I'm doing to a greater or lesser degree, then I'll be able to, work with other people to change the bigger things, I think. We'll see how it goes. But the main thing I've got so far is like what nearly all manifestation people will say is that you have to live in the end, is the way Neville Goddard describes it. Meaning, whatever it is that you want, you have to live as if that has happened. And the other thing he talks about is feeling is the key. That you have to feel that way, the way you would when the thing that you want happened or happens. You have to live as if that happened now. Now, that all sounds great, but the thing I kept falling down on and getting confused on, and it's a really subtle point, is I kept confusing or getting distracted by the external results. So let's say I wanted to manifest €3,000 in my bank account because it's nice and quantifiable, and I can go and check my bank account and see if it's there. And if it's not there, then I can't kid myself and go, well, the manifestation thing is great. It's like, well, it hasn't worked. You haven't manifested that. So I'm like, okay. So what you're supposed to do is think about how you would feel when you're checking your bank account and you had €3,000 on the bank account, and how you would feel on the inside. And then you make that your focus, that feeling on the inside. And one of the places that Neville Goddard particularly talks about as being very powerful for doing that is the liminal state between waking and sleeping. So just as you're going to sleep, you feel yourself looking at your bank account, seeing the €3,000, feeling the feelings that you feel inside, and you drift off into sleep. If you can, drift off into sleep with that. And according to Neville, that will program your subconscious and you'll draw it to you. Didn't work for me. Um, Similarly, in the morning, in that if you can at all, maybe set your alarm a little bit earlier and um, wake up and then don't get up, but stay in that kind of half awake state and go through it again, thinking about looking at your bank account and there's the €3,000. Now, without getting distracted, but there are some people who go, oh, well, money is very difficult because your subconscious doesn't speak in those terms and you've got to think about the things you'd buy with the money and all that kind of thing. That's fair enough. That definitely could be the case because different people manifest in a different way. For example, there are specific and non-specific manifestors. Specific manifestors are great for figures like that, €3,000. Non-specific manifestors doesn't work. So as I said, that didn't work for me, but many years ago, like I think maybe nearly 20 years ago, I had this idea for a book, and I was going to call it The Millionaire Moment. And the idea came from this realization, and I might have mentioned this before, that the majority of my time wouldn't have been that much, my life experience wouldn't have been changed by having $1 million or being a millionaire. I mean, being a millionaire now is not what it used to be. But so back then it was like being a millionaire. Meaning, if I'm eating, okay, I might be in a nice restaurant, but it's not going to make that much difference. Being, the actual act of eating, whether I have $1 million or not, it's not going to change it that much. If I'm driving, okay, I might be driving a fancier car, but the experience of driving not changed that much. And when I added up all the time, sleeping, same. When I added up all the moments in the day, I reckoned about 75% of my life wouldn't have been changed that much by being a millionaire. Which made me kind of go, well, that means that I'm kind of like a millionaire now, isn't it? Like I'm kind of living the millionaire lifestyle 75% of the time anyway. And if I can just come into that, then, whether I have the $1 million or not doesn't make any difference. So as I say, I had that, 20 years ago? And, but I got distracted with the manifestation stuff because I wanted to be a good student and do what I was told, whatever. So what I've realized is I've shifted the focus from a specific thing to an internal thing, a specific external thing to a specific internal thing. Meaning, so let's go back to €3,000 again, right? Now, and as I said, this is subtle, but I think it's very powerful. It's recent though, so it could be not. But anyway, we'll go with it. We'll go with it for now. So I've shifted the focus from the €3,000 to what I'm trying to manifest is the feeling I would have if there was €3,000 in my account. And then you see, I cannot fail because I can, like, as I'm walking along here, I can, if I focus on manifesting that feeling and I feel it, then I've succeeded. Okay. What kept happening to me was I would go and look externally for the external manifestation. So let's say, I kept going and looking, in this €3,000 analogy, I keep going looking at my bank account, go, it's not there. I'm doing something wrong. Which is really bad for manifestation, apparently. And it stops that letting go process. Okay, so I can be completely successful in everything that I want to manifest because my focus is on internal manifestation, which in a way, is the same. Because let's say, going back to the millionaire thing, like my experience of reality, like as I walk down this lovely little track here, wouldn't be that change or the change that would happen if I had €1 million in the bank would be all internal. Okay, my experience of walking down this beautiful track wouldn't be changed. It'd be exactly the same. I'd still be walking down this track. So everything, all the happy, beautiful feelings would be on the inside. So if I make my focus, I want to manifest those feelings now inside, and I do, even for a little bit, then I've succeeded. And success breeds success. The more I do it, the more I do it. So that's where I'm up to at the moment. I'm quite excited about this because I really have been banging my head against the brick wall in regard to it. I've had some success, but nothing like what I want to. I am what they call a multipod, meaning I can do lots of different things. You know, like I write, I paint, I do this podcasting, I make films. I'm good at my hands. You know, I'm used to being good at things. And if I'm not, I just kind of move on, you know. Like I had to go with golf for a while. And I wasn't brilliant at it, and I wasn't enjoying it that much. So, you know, I just moved on. I've done that with lots of things. But this felt important. So it's been hard going for as I say, the last 14 months. But I feel like I've got that there's something really profound in this, because I'm already very successful in what I'm doing, because with all the years of meditation, I'm very familiar with my inner state. So for me to focus on manifesting an inner state, it's not hard, you know, and as I say, I'm also used to that inner states are fleeting and they come and they go. So it's relatively easy compared to the way I was trying to do it, to focus on a particular way that I want to feel on the inside and make that the focus of my manifestation. I've been very successful at that so far. And the great thing is that it doesn't matter what external thing I think of to do with manifesting. I can manifest that feeling on the inside. So let's say if I wanted to create a particular kind of loving relationship, well, I could just get very clear on what I wanted that relationship to look like, then get very clear on what I wanted to feel like in that relationship, and then make that feeling the focus of my manifestation. And I will be very successful in that feeling. If I want to be successful in my career, same again. I can pull it apart. What would that look like? How would it make me feel? Get very clear on what that feeling would be, and then make that feeling the focus of my manifestation, and off I go. Now, as I say, this is relatively recent, so I can't tell you for definite, but my sense is, from everything that I've learned about manifestation, from all the manifestation experts, having that feeling is powerful. And that the fact that I'm not focused on the external is powerful too. So I wouldn't be surprised if I do end up manifesting lots of different things externally. But that's not my focus. My focus is on the internal. And if it happens externally, well, that's lovely.